Hey, get on City Geeks. We're back. I got an awesome. This time I got two guests at the same time. It's not just one artist or one writer. I've got the writer and artist for the upcoming Power Rangers Zord Quest, which is, if you haven't seen it, Boom had dropped a couple of pages. It is beautiful. I want to talk about how they got the gig, but at the same time, talk about a little bit about where they came from and where they're at now. um, Joey Esposito basically was worked at Starbucks before getting into comics and wrote his self-published comic, which was uh, Footprints. That was his first self-published comic. Get to talk about that, and then of course where he's at now. And then also too, we got Gavin Smith, and we get to talk to him about his work on accelerators, which if you were a comic book fan, TV show for AMC, they he worked with the guys who worked on there and Project Runaway. So we're gonna talk about that. Um, but before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. If you want comics, if you want to play Magic, 40K, D&D, this is where you want to go. If you want to pre-order some graphic novels, you want to go here. And then also let's talk about this past weekend. If you missed this show this year, you don't want to miss next year. Casa was freaking awesome. Mike Norton was there. Cully Hamner was there. Independent comic book creators and artists were there promoting their stuff. Was a great show. You definitely want to catch this next year. And then one more shout out to our friends at Alamo City Popcorn. They donated popcorn that we gave away and gift cards as well for people who stopped by our booth. Let's not wait any longer. Let's get these gentlemen in the room and chit chat comics and talk about this comic they're working on. Gavin and Joey, welcome.
Hey guys,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time, man. First of all, let's start with the writer, because without the writer, we wouldn't have the story, and then the artist wouldn't be bringing these beautiful pages to life. Joey,
I feel like I could argue that, but let's continue.
Okay, at what point in your life did you realize, were you in high school, college, like, you know what, hey, I want to write comics? At what point in your life did you realize that's what you wanted to do?
Comics specifically, I would say probably college. I mean, I've read comics my whole life, but I went to film school, and so even before that, I knew that storytelling was something I wanted to do, whether it was in novels or movies or TV. But while I was at film school, there was a great graphic novel program that I took, and just sort of it all clicked for me, where I was like, oh, there's I've read comics forever, but there's this human element, and this is a great way to tell stories without any budgetary restrictions. I mean, some budgetary restrictions, but in terms of scope and scale, comics can do anything, and that really changed my perspective on where I wanted to put my focus. And that was sort of the start of it.
Wow. And at what point did you were like, okay, I'm going to do my first one, which was Footprints?
Yes.
What did you come up with that premise?
Footprint. So at the time I was working for a company called Ringside Collectibles. If you're a wrestling fan, you've probably bought toys from them before. But I was just talking with a friend who worked there, and we were talking about Bigfoot and cryptids and stuff. And it just and I was driving really late at night on Long Island one night, and it was just saw something kind of in the woods, and it just, all these things came together, and all of a sudden I was just Bigfoot murder mystery. He has a whole gang. All of the cryptids come together and solve crime. And I love, noir stories. I love Raymond Chandler and things like that. And so I infused it with that, and Footprints was born. And it's very strange, but it's pretty cool because it was a self-published endeavor. We used Kickstarter in 2011. So it was pretty early on, from the Kickstarter revolution, I guess. So I don't know, it felt like we were kind of a prototype for for some things that were to come. And I still, we ended up on like the USA Today list and stuff. It was wild. It was a good time. Learned a lot about how to put comics together, and yeah.
That's freaking awesome. And then Gavin, for you, talking about getting into art, you were a band guy prior to this and
Yeah.
going to school. So how'd this process go with you?
So I was in punk bands since I was in junior high up until high school, through high school and college and stuff. And I had gone to Ball State University and took a couple art classes there, and failed one of them, which is funny because I was just too into rock and roll and everything that came with it. And like, but it was me and a group of my friends, and we would start bands and then break up and then start over again. And every time we get a little momentum, we'd break up, and then a couple months later get back together, do it all over again. And at one point, at that point I was working delivering newspapers all over Indiana. I was delivering Chicago Tribune and New York Times, like a big boy paper route. So I was driving from like 1 a.m. till like 8 a.m, just all over the state, just dropping off big bundles of papers. And I got back into comics because I had disposable income now, and I was listening to comic podcasts and stuff. And I had some art chops, and I was like, all right, I think I want to do this again. So I started drawing again. I started collecting again. And I saw in the comic ads that the Joe Kubert School still existed. And I had remembered ads from it from when I was a kid. And it was always kind of a pipe dream of mine to go there. But at this point, I was in a pipe dream of making it in a punk band. So I figured just jump from one to the other. But put together a portfolio, got accepted, packed all my belongings up in my car, moved to New Jersey. Wow. And did the whole thing, the whole program. I went from 2008 to 2011. I was in Joe's next to last class that he taught before he passed away.
Dude.
Yeah. So then there was like a summer between my second and third year where I worked on Project Runway in New York for a while, because I normally come back home to Indiana, but my friend convinced me to stick around and work in TV for a summer. And I did that and made some connections there. Turned out that the cameraman of Project Runway was also the cameraman for Comic Book Men, who was part of the group of guys that wanted to start Blue Juice Comics, get accelerators rolling. So after I graduated from the school, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. When Joe's first class was the first day we had him, our senior year, he walked in and he was like, not all of you are going to get jobs with Marvel and DC, so you better come up with a backup plan. So by next week, I want a cover and 5 pages of your own comic. And it's like, oh, that means we got our character design. We have to write it. We have to do everything. So I had almost gun to your head and better do it. Cause there were some classes you could get away with skating by, but Joe's class was serious business. So, and he picked favorites. So if you didn't have it and didn't want to be on his bad side, so I got it done and he liked it. And then turned it in that first week. And he's like, all right, now ink it and hand letter it. And
wow.
Yeah. So then that was the next week's assignment. We brought it in. He's like, all right, now color it. And by the end of it, we had 5 pages and a cover, a pitch ready to go. So school year went by. I didn't get a job at Marvel in DC. So I moved back in with my punk rock friends, and we all had a house together. And I used the last $300 to my name to self-publish Human City, which was the name of the comic I started in Joe's class. But that summer I had spent working on Project Runway, and when they I think word around the cast and crew got around about me that I actually make comics, or was training to make comics at the time. Those guys, my friend who had gotten me the job, put me in touch with them right after I had self-published Human City, and then they hired me to draw accelerators right after that.
Wow. Yeah. No, that was awesome. I mean, I heard about that because I listened to I Sell Comics with Mike and Ming. Great. I mean, guys, and this was back when. And this is prior to me doing this. I pitched a podcast for a comic book store I worked for here in San Antonio, where the owner laughed at me about it, and I let it go and I put it under the table and forgot about it. But now look at me now. I'm getting to sit down with
Yeah.
gentlemen like this. Yeah, this is a dream come true. You know, not only that, for Joey, you ended up going from that, publishing, you did a continuation of it, but that also helped you get into um DC's school for exclusive writing workshop, and that transitioned to you to actually work for DC. How was that when you got the job? I mean, how did you feel knowing that you were going to work in DC?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, there was a lot of toil and torture and depression, like in between all of that.
Oh,
Like it
dang.
was,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was. Well, just to back up a little bit, like getting into comics is so like vague.
Yeah.
When you don't grow up in it or you don't have any like tangible connections to it, it's just kind of like, how do I do
Yeah.
that? And so my method was, well, I'm just going to write about comics on the internet for now, which I think a lot of people have done.
Okay.
You want to make comics, but maybe I'll just review comics or like write comics news and do interviews and stuff, which is great. And so I started doing that for a website at the time called Crave Online. It doesn't exist anymore. But that got me the job as the comics editor at IGN, where I was for a few years. And so that like sort of got me more familiar with the industry itself and meeting people and everything. And then Footprints happened. I did another book with Sean Von Gorman called Pawn Shop. And I think Pawn Shop was the book that actually I know this for a fact. Pawn Shop was the book that got me into the DC Writers Workshop. And so that process was like, I had applied a couple of years prior to that and didn't get in. And when I got in, I remember being at my day job. I was working at Paramount at the time and just like was so stoked and called my wife and just like went home sick, because I was just so excited. But yeah, it was cool. It was an interesting experience because it was sort of like a crash course in working in a shared universe with not only artists, but like the editors and the production folks and the talent management folks, and just like a level of comic book making that goes beyond just sort of actually making the comic, which ended up being more helpful than sort of the narrative things that we learned, at least in my experience, because it was just like, had I gotten a gig without that experience first, I definitely would have fucked shit up. You know what I mean? Like I definitely would have just like, just not, I don't know, not been able to handle the ins and outs of the sort of business part of it all. So I found that really helpful and prepared me for what was to come. And then coming out of that, there was a whole new slate of depression because like the premise of that workshop was to get you like in the door and like in the DC ecosystem, which like didn't happen for me and some other folks in my class. And, on the flip side, we were also with Philip Kennedy Johnson, who clearly like, he's doing okay, I think. Yeah. Also one of the nicest dudes alive.
Oh, he's so sweet. I'm going to see him next week too.
Tell him I said hello.
I will.
But so like you go through this thing where you think you've gotten this huge opportunity, and it is an opportunity, but then it doesn't sort of go where you think it's going to go. And so you're like, oh, I guess I suck. I guess like this was a mistake that I was in here. They, maybe someone dropped out and they just had to like fill the slot. And you sort of like go through all this stuff in your head because you're comparing yourself to your classmates who maybe are getting ahead or whatever. And so like that experience was really helpful because I went through it, but then as an after effect, I sort of realized that like none of that shit is important. Like all of these machinations in place in the industry are like, they're not working against you personally. It's just sort of kind of luck of the draw in a lot of ways. talent
Yeah.
is certainly a factor, timing is a factor,
Yeah.
but it's like it's nothing to do with you specifically. And you know, like I had to find a different way in, and eventually that worked out.
Yeah.
But
it's funny because like I always tell people like comics is like reverse Alcatraz. Like once you find like, you know, that way almost gets sealed off forever. So like I think your way of getting in is so unique to you. My way of getting in was so out of the box and outside of the comics normal way of getting in that,
Mhm.
the way I got in doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah. And I think what's important about that is that like that is true, but I think the like the core of it is that we both just made stuff that we wanted to make to
Right.
start with. And
Yeah.
like that's the only way
Mhm.
to actually get into comics is like you make a comic, you're in comics. Where you go from there is a different story,
Right.
but it doesn't happen without you just taking the initiative and making the thing that you want to make. Like no one's going to show up and like ask you to make something based on a script that you have. No one's going to read that, like straight
Yeah.
up.
And it's funny, I get a lot of people come up to me and ask me for like portfolio reviews, and I think the best thing that ended up getting me more work, well, when I was asked to do accelerators, is because they asked me to send them a copy of Human City first.
Oh
So
wow.
I think that went so far because having something I can take, physical copy, I could put in their hands and prove I can get things done, that I'm reliable. That went a long way. So I was given a portfolio to review to someone this past weekend, and he had a physical comic, and I was like, this is the best first start you can have. Like, you
Wow.
know, there are things, you know, that you could do to make it better, but it was like, I was like, this is great. If you like, and he also had his iPad that was a portfolio full of pinups. I was like, put that away. This is your best. And like, I don't, you know, and yeah, and I think if I think I hate the word, like I hate the like the term hustle culture, but like there is an element of that to comics, to get out
No,
there
you do.
and
Yeah.
prove you're an asset, prove you are gonna want to do this. Because I can't imagine how hard it is for writers. With the little writing experience I've had has just because I've drawn well enough that I've tricked people and some people into thinking I can write. And like, so I've had like 2 or 3 writing jobs. That's it. But yeah, it's, and for a writer, it's got to be that much harder, because then you've got to, and I find this true with a lot of writers at the time. Like you know, like there was, when I was first starting, it's like, of course I want to work with the Mark Wades and the Jeff Johns and the Morrisons and yada yada. But I found myself having better luck finding people that were on my level of the industry.
Yeah.
So we're peers, and kind of like how you found Sean, you guys are kind of at that same level,
Right.
and you guys can build each other up together and get, you know, help each other build up. And
that's exactly what it is. And I think that's also why I like doing Artist Alley and things like that. While you're, I mean, it's always important, but while you're sort of finding your footing and making relationships and stuff, finding the people who are at your level and want, like, you know, I always say it's a war of attrition, right? Like there's dozens of people I started out with. I'm sure it's the same for you, Gavin, that like, as you slowly like move up, people kind of like trickle away because they just don't.
I had a whole school of it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's tough. It's not easy. I've always kept a day job, you know, partially for stability and also partially to be able to pay artists to help me make comics.
Yeah.
You know, like that's where a lot of money goes to. It's like, it's an I look at it as an investment in my art and my career. And I think, you know, it's taken 15 years, but I feel like I'm making some progress.
So bringing that up, where you're talking about this, so this book that you wrote and got nominated, this you wrote with your buddy, and passion. And I feel when the writer and the artist have passion behind the work, it comes out and the people can see it and the readers can see it. Same thing when it comes to writers, when they hire writers to write IP. If that writer doesn't know that IP and they're like, oh, I have to go back and read these issues to get an idea of what I'm writing, you can kind of see that come out in the paper and doesn't come out as well. But then when you have somebody who has the love for comics and knows that IP, it comes out because that's something that they may have wanted to do when they were kids, like write for Power Rangers or write for Batman. You see it come out. And when I saw this, as soon as I saw it, me, Godzilla's what got me into Power Rangers. I
Mhm.
loved even knowing that it was a guy in a suit destroying freaking, what do you call it, fake buildings and all that. When Power Rangers came out in the 90s, I saw Megazord just, doing the same thing. I was like,
I
oh,
mean, the
this is
documentary
cool.
Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, that's where I fell in love with Power Rangers.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I was hooked. It was cheesy. Now, knowing it was cheesy, it was just at that time as a young kid, that was fun. But as an adult, you look back, you're like, wow, that is kind of cheesy, but I still enjoy it.
Yeah, but so
Eh,
was, Adam West Batman. Like it's the
yeah.
same kind of like campy fun. Like it's almost like that's not even the point of it. So, and I just want to go back to what you were saying earlier about being a fan of the IP. It's definitely important, but I also think it can be a double-edged sword, at least on the
Yes.
writing side, for like, oh, you just want to kind of like play the hits or be a cover band. And to some degree, you're always going to be a cover band unless you're like very innovative. Um, but there is this risk of like wanting to use certain characters or certain
Yeah.
locations or certain villains or whatever it is that could kind of shoot you in the foot because it's stuff everyone's seen before. And
Yeah.
I think, with Zord Quest, I think we deliberately try to go in the other direction and do something
Nice.
Yeah.
totally new. In fact, I would say like the whole premise of Zord Quest, as I saw it, was sort of like we're starting at the end of a typical kind of Power Rangers episode and then just like taking a hard right turn all of a sudden. Like you think you know
Wow.
where this is going, and then it's just like a totally different kind of adventure. I mean, that's the intention, and I hope it comes through. But
I think
So
it did. I had a closer look at it than most people, but that's what I really attracted me to the script. I think the fact that we didn't rely on those old standbys. We got to create our own monster for this.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
well,
Um,
that comes to
and
that question that I was going to ask both of you.
yeah,
Um, how did
go
y'all
ahead.
get the gig?
Uh, yeah, I had been in touch. Our former editor, David Marriott, used to work at IDW, and at the time I was doing a lot of work for IDW, on Star Trek Turtles, some Godzilla covers as well, and he made this announcement on Instagram that he was leaving IDW, and I sent him a message just like, "Oh, that's a bummer, man. Like he was the only editor at IDW at the time that I hadn't worked with, and I
Oh,
was getting
wow.
around to uh, asking him out on a date, as far as like hiring me for a gig." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll be in touch." And then he landed at Boom, and he had hired me for a quick Hello Darkness series. I had been in touch with the editor on Power Rangers before him, and Allison Gronowitz, who's awesome. She had hired me for a Usagi Power Rangers cover,
Yeah.
um, and so I was kind of in that ballpark. But I love doing covers. My main bread and butter is like what I want to do. Why I'm here is I want to tell stories. So I wanted interiors. Um, and so I'd asked her about it, and she was on her way out. She went to Oni, and David came in and took her place. And he, after the Hello Darkness thing, he's like, "I've got a Power Rangers thing with your name on it. It's coming." And yeah, he told me it was going to be with Joey. So then we started talking, but I'll let you tell your side of the story.
I mean, similar. Like I had started talking with David when he was at IDW. We met a couple of times and like email and stuff. I would send him any new things that I had, which is usually like how those relationships are. And it's just like you hope that someday they have an opening and they're like, oh, I know who I should ask about this. And for me, it was you can't see it, but in my office, I have like a whole like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers shrine here with like I like to collect. I mean, I
Nice.
have my toys from when I was a kid, but I like to collect like the weird stuff from back then when they were just like slapping the logo on everything. So I have like temporary tattoos and all that kind of stuff. But I posted a picture of it on Blue Sky or whatever. And then I got an email like later that day. It was like from David that was just like, I didn't know you were such a Ranger head. And I was like, yes. And he was like, well, do you want to do this? We have a spot open for a one shot at the end of the year. Are you interested? And I was just like, yeah. And so I had pitches to him like over the weekend, and they went with Zord Quest, and that was that. It was like I was just like, finally, all these years of just posting how much I love Power Rangers finally paid off.
Not so much your scripts, just like your toy collection.
Yeah, that's, you know what? Fine. I don't have an ego. I'll take it.
If you just do nothing long enough, it'll pay off.
Well, guys, I mean, again, I'm gonna bring some of these photos up. I mean, they're just beautiful.
Please do. Look at that.
Yeah.
Gavin was like texting me pages as he was drawing them, and I think every time it was just like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was like there would sometimes I would wait till text you in the morning because it was like I was finishing up a page at like 1:30 in the morning or something. I'd be like, no, he's in bed, I don't want to wake him up. I know how much you like Power Rangers, so if I wake him up with this, he's going to be up the rest of the night.
So I was going to ask, and then I asked this from every artist as well. Are you a digital, or you do pencil, scan, and then do the rest digital? What's your process for you?
All hand drawn, baby. I do everything.
So there's original of this right here. Oh my god. Oh, dude.
I mean,
there it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to show too much because some of these aren't the preview pages.
Oh dang.
The preview page, but
wow.
The bottom of the stack, that makes sense. All right, it's literally like to my left. I didn't even like prep this. It's just where I put my pages when I'm done with them. What page did you?
It was the one where it's the Dragon Zord, where Tommy's summoning the Dragon Zord.
Oh yeah, there is an original for that.
Wow.
It's in this
so I got to ask Joey while he's looking for this. Which one are you taking home after it gets published?
There is one page in particular, and Gavin, I was actually going to text you about this that I would love to purchase from you. And it's the you posted a snippet of it, but it's a Pink Ranger image that was sort of like the image that I had in mind when I was like putting the pitch together of like, this is like the inspiration image. And of course, like he crushed it. And so I would love to acquire that page someday.
Consider it.
See, and that's the best part, and that's why I love art. Don't get me wrong, I love digital. Digital's cool, it's faster, you meet deadlines. But from the comic collector fans, like here, I'll give you an idea. This just has signatures, just has autographs right now. But I have already a spot right here where I have a specific artist that I want to have them draw, Spangler. You know what I mean? But that's my thing. I like buying original art, sketchbooks.
There's Joey. I'm only showing a little bit. I'm showing about as much as I show.
Sweet. Yeah, that's it. That was like, that was the moment that I was like, this book would be super rad. And of course, Gavin delivered in spades.
Dude, when they teased, I saw the cover. So when I saw it ahead of time, because I'm getting ready. So as you know, as a comic books person working at a comic book store, you have to look ahead for FOCs to kind of get an idea of what's coming out months from now. Because guys, if you don't know, comics don't just come out like this. They're 3-4 months in advance. We get to see, sometimes they'll have covers up and available, but then they don't.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
It's real and spectacular.
Man, that's beautiful.
You know what? And that's like not even
the coolest thing.
Yeah, there's so much cool shit in this book.
Yeah,
like it's so hard to talk about because it was literally just like, what would be? I mean, there's a good story, I will say, but like really, it was about like, let's have them do shit that we've never seen before, and like really just go crazy. Take advantage of the comics medium.
There's one splash page, or almost a splash page. I think it's like practically a splash with 2 small panels on the bottom that's towards the end. That's like, that one was a good one to draw. That was fun.
I can imagine those texts that y'all are going back and forth on, man.
Oh yeah,
That'd have been priceless right there.
nerds losing their
It's
minds.
the best part of this job, truly.
So getting back to where, putting this together, when you pitch your story for this, and when they picked it up, and like I said, as a comic book guy ordering this stuff, I came across it. I saw it. The cover had me. It had me at the cover first because that's the only thing I saw. There was no preview pages, just this cover, and I'm like, the Megazords are my thing. That's why I loved Power Rangers, and then, of course the characters as well. And we all love Kimberly.
I'll tell you a funny story. The first, so Joey and I, we had talked a little online, but we met in person for the first time at San Diego. We had both gotten in a day early, and we were kind of giving each other the like getting to know each other, having a couple of drinks. And he's like, he goes, "Who's your favorite Ranger?" And I think I thought about it, and I go, "Yeah, Pink Ranger." And he's like, "No, but really, like, I mean, we all love Kimberly, but."
Dude, Kimberly, no matter, anyone could say anything.
So cold.
Yeah, she had us all. I mean, and to me, I mean, that's why. Okay, as a kid,
Trini's just as bad.
Oh yeah, no, she was awesome. The two of them together were great.
Yeah.
It bites that we lost her at such a young age and stuff like that. But with Kimberly, as for me, she was doing a Kickstarter for a film that she was doing, and she was going to be directing. And so she did a Kickstarter. She's like, "Hey, if you contribute to this, you can go to this pizza party in Santa Monica and come out and hang out, and we get to watch Power Ranger movies and have pizza." So I'm like, okay, I'm dropping this money. Boom, boom.
Right.
She never did conventions at that point. So that was the only way you could meet her. So I dropped the money. Me and my wife drive to Santa Monica from San Antonio, Texas to go, and I get to meet her. And then at that time she was doing Flashpoint, and I got to meet one of the actors from Flashpoint, which is an awesome show as well. But yeah, I mean, that's why I love Power Rangers. The fight scenes and everything, even though, like I said, it was cheesy, but it's my cheesy. I love it.
Yeah.
But to you guys, I mean, how is it like?
I think we
just
talked
playing
about
in that
recently, Joey and I did, where like it kind of comes to that right era where it was like that big martial arts craze was happening, like coming out of the 80s with Karate Kid into like the Van Damme craze and like all those stars, and then into like Three Ninjas, stuff like that. Turtles, obviously, and then Power Rangers as well is just a bunch of colorful ninjas in cool suits that have robots and fight kaiju. All the ingredients are there for it to be cool, as cheesy as it is. It's,
But I also like, I think what's great about it as an adult, when you're a kid, you don't realize that, oh, this is Japanese footage that they're kind of like puzzle piecing together. But I love that element. As the Power Rangers series progressed, they become a little bit more, not mature, but like there's overarching narratives and character development and stuff. But those early Mighty Morphin seasons are just kind of like mostly short, fun adventures.
Mhm.
But it's just so fun to watch. Like, okay, so they had this footage without the yellow and blue Rangers. So they had to concoct some wild story as to why like Billy and Trini weren't involved in this battle.
Right.
And sometimes it's just like, they're really just like pulling things out of nowhere. And I think that's what's so fun about it. And I think really inspires creativity, because it's just like anything is game almost. Like anything can happen in the Power Rangers world. Like there can be monsters, there can be crazy technology, there can be computer viruses and robots, and it's literally everything distilled into like just a action adventure show. And it's just so much fun.
I think equally as impressive how much footage they got out of the Green Ranger, considering in the Super Sentai series he did not last long at all.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to ask, for this one's for Gavin.
Yeah.
The IPs you've also got to work on were Turtles.
Right.
I mean, and this in general to me. Is there an IP that you haven't gotten to work on yet that you would love to work on?
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I am begging for a good Mortal Kombat comic, and if I get to make it, that'd be even better.
You crushed that.
Yeah, that is
It's
right
like, yeah, I know.
yeah. Well, that's just like right. That's my speed. Like the book. Like I spent 10 years making independent comics. Accelerators, for all that it did for me, was at the end of the day an independent comic, independent publisher. And there was a little bit of a phase I went through where work went dry. And to kind of bring it back around about talking about coming up with your peers, my good friend James Maddox and I were supposed to do something for an Image comic book, and that never came together because of the guy that was putting it together kept like holding us back. And so James and I got together and we were like, why are we hitching to this guy's wagon? We can just do our own thing. And it was at that time, like, I think we were both kind of at that threshold of like hitting that glass ceiling where all our friends were getting work and we weren't, or getting the bigger work that we weren't. And so we got together and we kind of like got this weird, like, oh, these two are teaming up thing. And we put together this book called Dead Legends, which was the martial arts movie I always wanted, like it was like, and that's what it was. It was just my love of that, like I said earlier, coming out of the 80s martial arts craze. And it's like the straight up, it's Bloodsport, it's Enter the Dragon, and Revenge Story. It's super fun. I love that series. But that's what's responsible. That's what got me work at IDW. And the first job they gave me was Star Trek. And I did 8 issues of this book called Star Trek: The Mirror War, which was kind of crazy to be given that much of a job for my first go around at IDW. I was like, are you sure? Like you guys don't know me, but like, I mean, I'll do it. And I didn't know much about Star Trek, but now they got me, like I started watching it because I got the job. And then, but I kind of made a plan that I was going to start asking about Turtles. I knew the 8 issues was going to take me a year. So around issue 6.5, I started saying, hey, and this is coming to an end. I want to know what's next. Really want to do some Turtle stuff. And it just happened to work out that my assistant editor at the time for Star Trek was helping out with Turtles while there was this brief editorial mix-up. And the new editor coming in, she introduced me to the new editor coming in, brought me over to Turtles as she was going back to Star Trek, and then Turtles just kept me. And but yeah, Turtles was a big one for me as well. I mean, like hand in hand with Power Rangers. It was like the shows my brother and I watched together, the toys we physically fought over. And it's funny because like Turtles and Power Rangers and Godzilla have all been intersecting with each other. I haven't worked on any of those, but I've worked on all of them individually, and I'm kind of glad. I like the fact that I've gotten to date them all on their own. But yeah, I enjoy dating a lot.
Oh, nice. And Joey, what about you? What IP would you like to work on that you haven't worked on yet?
I say this like with all honesty, Power Rangers was tops for me. If I hadn't nuked my Twitter account, you could go back to like 2012 and like see me just like tweeting about Power Rangers ideas that I want to do in comics. And then like when Boom got the license, I frantically like emailed everyone that I knew at Boom to be like, can I do something? And like, that never came to fruition because I hadn't really done a whole lot. So like, of course they didn't just like give that to me. But now doing Zord Quest, like this was a real bucket list item. But besides Power Rangers, I would say Resident Evil.
Ooh, dude, those are 2 comics that we really haven't had.
I know.
Good comics for them.
Got a lot of ideas. I don't know where the rights lie for that in terms of comics. Mm-hmm. I think there's like some manga, but I don't feel like we've ever had a consistent quality Resident Evil comic in the US.
No.
I don't think there's been a good Mortal Kombat comic since like the 90s.
No, that's why I was saying both IPs are like something we haven't had.
Well, I know DC put out something. I want to say around the time Mortal Kombat 10 came out, but it was so steeped in the lore that it just wasn't new user friendly. So I'd love to do something that kind of just like hard resets the beginning almost and go from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who do I talk to?
Yeah. No, I mean, like right now, DC has a thing too. I mean, this is something I could think that would be awesome because I didn't know about this, and I just found out about this on the weekend from Josh Trujillo, that there's like a web comic that DC has where you scroll and read.
Right. They've taken up that webtoon format.
Yeah, but he's writing an Aquaman story that's separate from the DC universe. So he's just writing everything he wants in that universe.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so it's not going to affect anything that's in the comic universe. So I don't see why wouldn't they do that for like a web-based like that for either Mortal Kombat or Resident Evil, because then it doesn't touch anything here, but you can pretty much you have free reign to make your universe the way you want it, and it doesn't affect movies or the animations or whatever. But yeah, no, I think that would be great if they did something like that, because to me it just seems like it's TikTok because you're just scrolling up as you're reading.
Yeah.
So first of all, I heard of it. I haven't seen it before, so I was just like, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of Webtoon's whole format, and I think Marvel's kind of done that with the Marvel Rivals comic as well.
Yeah,
our friend Paul Eller writes that, and hi Paul. And I think DC's been doing it a little bit. I think they initially teamed up with Webtoon.
Yeah,
Webtoon was making a big. I haven't heard a lot from them recently. I know they're still around. They're still doing stuff, but they had more presence at Comic Cons. I want to say like 6 to 8 years ago. Like they were showing up and throwing these huge parties for comic creators, and like I did a couple of times for them as well. And yeah, they're a cool company. I like them a lot. So
also some shameless self-promotion is that on Global Comics, the Pedestrian is currently releasing a vertical scroll version.
Oh, I'll bring that up right now.
So you can see him walk in real time as you scroll. Which is honestly that was how we originally conceived of the Pedestrian. That was going to be a vertical scroll.
Oh, are you serious?
Series. Yeah. So like the background on that is Sean and I did Pawn Shop. We had some other pitches that, including something called Laser Titans, which was just our Power Rangers, just like kind of more mature thing. No one cared. And then Pedestrian was sort of like Gavin was talking about earlier, like this was like we're not getting the jobs that we want. We're not getting like publishers to like bite on our pitches and stuff. So just fuck all that. Let's just like do exactly what we want to do and make the thing that we want to make just separate from industry stuff. And that ended up being the Pedestrian. We started on that just, like early 2020. And as we know, things changed pretty rapidly that year. And so we decided, okay, well, let's just make it a digital thing. We'll do it like a vertical scroll. Who knows like where conventions will be at in the future. And so we started it in that format and just kind of like worked on it on our own. And eventually, it found a publisher and we reverted to sort of traditional page layout, print layout.
Wow.
But it did really well on Global Comics. And so they came to us and we're like, would you be interested in doing a vertical scroll version? And we're like, funny you should ask, because we have all these assets and we had to cut a bunch of stuff to make it fit into the print version. And so now it's sort of like living an extra life in that format. So it's interesting. Like it's not a way that I would typically read comics, but I think you can do interesting things with that sort of like infinite canvas.
It's a cool format. Yeah. Like there's just so much to do with it. It's taking what you know about it and it's like, okay, well now instead of a page turn, you've got a long scroll to get your thing. It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that. Like when I think after San Diego, I came home to this whole big thing where I got to the airport and my tire was flat. So the next day I had to go get that fixed and had to get 4 new tires. And I had the pedestrian and I was sitting in the tire shop and I saw the Laser Titans bit in pedestrian and I was like, oh, this makes total sense now. I remember texting you that.
We worked Laser Titans into the pedestrian, and it's sort of like it's a Power Rangers-esque show within the world of the pedestrian that
nice
maybe has larger consequences in the stories yet to come. But yeah, so it's just like, you never know where ideas are gonna wind up. But I think the most important thing is just to act on them if you believe in them, and just by hook or by crook kind of make them a reality. And I think everything else kind of falls into place around that.
No, that's true. You have to do that, even though it's a big step and a big, it's a fear behind it. But one of the things you mentioned so you had to cut stuff out because you had to put it in paper format. That stuff you cut out, is that going to be in this digital format? Are you going to add it back in?
Yeah, we added a lot of that stuff back in. Most of it is kind of texture. Sean had a lot of fun working with, because if you scroll up and he's like walking towards you and each panel is like his arms going as you move faster, it's almost like a flip book. It looks like he's moving. So there's a lot of that kind of in between scenes of him just sort of like power walking around, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. The Esposito cut of the
yeah, right.
Since y'all worked together and this was the first time you guys worked together, how did it feel? I mean, going back and forth in the chemistry between the two of you, did you feel like that it just gelled between you, like y'all were on the same headspace?
Easy, I thought.
Yeah, same. And like I don't think I knew that I was writing for you initially.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But like it's nice to know sometimes in these sort of work for hire situations, you're writing scripts and you don't know who's drawing it. Obviously, I would prefer to know, and then you can write to that person's strengths or like ask them what they like to draw or what they hate to draw. But I knew I wanted it to be like visual and just like really explosive and just fun, crazy action stuff. And I don't know, once we met at San Diego, I was like, this is going to be killer.
Yeah.
We just on the same wavelength,
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like we got together and it's like we kind of talked going into this and we were getting along online, but when it's like I'm actually kind of shocked we hadn't met before that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh wow.
It's like, we're a couple peas of the same pod, like we like the same stuff, we had similar backgrounds, came in through the industry around the similar time, so I don't know how we never met before.
It worked out, and now I have a new friend, and that's great.
Yeah. How do and that's what's funny to me. At 40 years old, I made a new friend.
All right.
That doesn't happen.
Which is very hard to do. My wife had to make me a spreadsheet for like potential new friends in our town, because like making friends as an adult, it's not easy. Especially we don't have kids. Like
right, yeah.
Most of my friends my age have kids, and like that's how they meet new people, and just like that's not part of our world. So I would much rather do it by making comics together than a spreadsheet. But
well, I mean, it is kind of hard.
It's away, and I only see them at conventions.
Yeah,
it's funny.
But also, like, I don't know, this is a little bit off topic, but I feel like it's fun to have friends in that way because you're usually hanging out in cities you don't live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like, that forms bonds in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
No, it does. Well, I mean, you think about it now. I mean, we have everything that we need at home. Computers, movies. We don't even really need to go out. We're so comfortable to be at home. Other than having to go out and get your comics and stuff like that. I mean, if you want, you can get it digital. I mean, so technically you don't have to leave your house because now they can deliver food to you. So you really have no need to leave other than you have to go to work if you have to leave for work.
But that's what they want, man. That's what they want you to do.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Making friends.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of the reasons I like going to conventions so much. Like I do a lot of them a year. Like I think I said, I just got back from Grand Rapids, and like, each night I was like doing something different. Like I probably should have been drawing, but I But like one night, like my good friends, or my good friend Stuart Sager and another new friend I made, Riley Brown, like we all went out and had dinner this past weekend, and like at a new bar. And like I've done the Grand Rapids show like 3 or 4 times, but I'm finding new things in Grand Rapids I like now. And like same in New York. Every time I go to New York Comic Con, I'm somewhere new, having a new adventure. It's awesome.
Have either of you guys been to Texas or San Antonio?
I've been to Dallas. I did a show there one time.
I was in Houston for WrestleMania 25, but that's my only time.
Oh, you're a big wrestling fan.
That was a good one. Yeah,
I am as well.
that was Undertaker, Shawn Michaels won.
Oh, nice. Well, we have a WrestleCast too, guys. If you are ever interested, our guys talk about wrestling, so you can go check us out as well. Yeah. So getting back to this, what I'm going to ask you guys,
okay,
for this, like, what can fans expect? So each of you, one's for Joey, one's for Gavin. How can you entice Power Rangers fans to come get this comic?
We kill 3 of them. No. It's no more peace conference. They're just dead. No. Joey, awesome. You give me a serious answer.
I would say as you can see in these, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in the preview pages.
Yeah.
Something goes awry in the midst of the sort of big climax of a Megazord battle. Megazord disconnects.
Yes.
And with the Rangers inside, each individual Zord is teleported back to their sanctuary, which is where, in the sequence when you see the Zords called in the show and they're coming out of a volcano, they're coming out of a jungle. So all the Rangers get scattered across the world back to these sanctuaries where the Zords live while they're sort of recharging. And so we get to see what awaits them there. And maybe it has something to do with the larger sort of cosmic place for the Rangers in the galaxy. So yeah, it's some new Zord lore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're coming for, is the Zord lore.
New Zord lore, some cool visuals, couple new characters that you've never seen before, a couple of team ups within the Zords that I think is pretty clever, that I don't think we've seen live action happen before. Action sequence between 2 particular Zords that I'm thinking of right now. Joey knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm very proud.
That was really cool. And it's I won't say anymore. That's good.
Hey, guys, if this doesn't entice you to go get it, on top of just this cover, you're gonna want to get this. Pre-order it. FOC's cutoff war this Monday. You go to your comic book shops and pre-order it, because I know they ordered for shelf. Yeah, so this will specify a comic for you. If you didn't order it, don't miss out.
Are we live or
No, we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, definitely when they watch this, they're gonna want to go and pre-order this comic if they hadn't, because it's gonna be awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I feel you 2 guys killed it just from the preview pages.
I mean, I can say 100% Gavin definitely killed it. TBD on the rest, but the art is incredible.
I mean, listen, I need to be pushed in the direction that when the story's fun, it's visually exciting because I had a good script to work from.
Thanks.
This is the truest sense, or one of the truest sense of collaborations that I've done working in comics. Like, we worked very well together on this, and like we were bouncing ideas off each other. So like,
this was a lot of fun. Often, working on a licensed thing, you don't often have that experience because there's so much out of your control. But this really just like all gelled in a way that I'm really super happy about. And we have this incredible 40-page Power Rangers tale that we told that will exist forever. And that's and
not only that, like shout out to Boom for just like giving us the reins on this. And And I was telling someone earlier this week, because I've worked on a lot of properties and stuff, and this is the least pushback I've ever
Yeah,
had
same.
working on a major property like this. Like they were just like, yeah, it rocks, keep going. And shout out to Hasbro as well, because usually the licensors have a lot to say, and they were
down. They
yeah,
were just like, that's a cool idea. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
sweet.
And I'm
Oh,
not just
that's
saying that
awesome.
because they pay us. So
No, dude, I'm gonna give you a story. When I literally put it out on our page for Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch on Facebook, I put out, hey, these are the variant covers for this issue, blah blah blah. Come pre-order yours now before FOC cutoff. This was like almost 2 weeks ago. I had one gentleman call us and say, hey, I want all the covers. Can you add them to my subscription box?
Hell yeah.
cool.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So, and that is the truth. That is no lie. That is the truth. The gentleman had, and then another one came in and he added 3 of the variant covers to his box as well. So it that's what, and that's the thing, as people, we're too busy. We don't have time to keep track of all this stuff.
Right.
If you can give it to them to where the people can just go to a place and say, oh, you know what? Ooh, I like that. I'm going to order that. You got to make it for them. And, that's what I hope I bring at Dragons there, to push covers, variant covers, because I'm big on artists. And guys, if you don't know, from the comic industry, most retailers are going to order, like, say, 10 of this cover, 10 of that one, or 5 of this one, because they don't know which one's going to be the hot one. So 9 times out of 10, Wednesday stores open, fans are going to buy the ones they want, and whatever's left by the end of Wednesday, that's what's left with your option to buy.
Right.
So, yeah. Pre-orders are the best, and subscription boxes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question for each of you is for the up-and-comers that want to follow in your footsteps. First one is for Joey.
Uh-oh.
What would you tell the next generation of writers if they want to get into this? What would you tell or prepare them for to become a writer?
I would prepare them for just to know that, like, the self-doubt that you feel, the imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff, totally normal. We still feel it. I still feel it all the time. Like, working on a new project, I'm just like, oh my God, why did they hire me? And that's fine. But I think the most important thing is just don't let anyone yuck your yum. If you want to make a certain kind of comic that maybe isn't marketable or you don't see a lot on the shelves, I would argue that's just more reason for you to make that book, because you should be working on the things that you want to see out there. And just because it's not sold in Barnes and Noble or whatever doesn't mean it's not valuable. So just, stick to your guns, and put in the work. It's a lot of work. It's not easy, but it is very much possible. And I want to read what you have to say. So,
yeah,
just don't give up, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say don't wait for someone to give you permission to do this. This, I think the best example I can think of is, like, I was talking before we went live that I was just in London, and I went to this store called Gosh Comics, and the upstairs of the store was presented as more of like a bookstore. There were so many cool and unique comics and unique voices that I hadn't heard of. And I bought a bunch of really cool stuff while I was there. And, like, I think that, kind of like what Joey was saying, don't let anybody yuck your yum. There's so many possibilities within this world of comics, and there's stories that we've never read, and we're waiting for them, so just because you don't have an offer from Marvel or DC, I guess that was my origin when I came out of Kubert. Not all of you are going to get a job at Marvel and DC, and I didn't. I made my own thing, and I made that happen. Joey made his own thing. He made it happen. So many people we know have done that, because, like, no one's just going to hand Batman to you. You got to go out and prove that you can make the stuff. But not only that, like, I think the ultimate goal is, like, we're all in this for the love of the game. None of us are trying to get rich. Like, I think at this point, if either Joey or I never got another Power Rangers gig again, or Turtles or Batman or whatever. At the end of the day, we're going to be making comics come hell or water. So if you're in it for the love of the game, don't wait for permission. Just go do your own thing.
Yeah, and guys too, we all have imposter syndrome. I have it. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because, just like you guys stated, I'm doing it for the love of the game. I'm doing it to let people know who are the people behind the art and behind the writing, because everyone else is doing stuff out there. They're doing it for clickbait or for views. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it for the archive, so that we can go back, because I can't go back right now, other than interviews that you see with Stan Lee. There's no interviews like this where you see Joe Kubert just sitting down chit-chatting with people like us, and I think if we would have had this back then, it would have been so awesome for us now. But I feel this is an opportunity for me to put this together for the next generation, have something to come look at and see and hear your side of the story of the industry. Because, like, yes, there's no school that can teach you. They can teach you how to draw and they can teach you how to write, but they don't teach you about the failures that are going to come along the way to get there and what to do after that. So I feel hearing this from you guys, I guess, will help the next generation. And that's what I want to bring.
I hope so.
So, yeah.
Guys, thank you for taking the time. I mean, both of you at the same time. I normally get one or the other, and it's great. I take it when I can. But to get both of you on together at the same time and talk about the chemistry you guys had and see the work on paper, that is just phenomenal in general. And
more phenomenal,
guys.
Hey, so you get the big bucks.
Yeah. But guys, go follow them. They're always putting stuff out. I mean, Joey's putting stuff. What's coming out, what he's working on. Gavin's putting out what he's been drawing when he can put it out where it's not affecting the comic. But yeah, you could definitely check it out. And if anybody wants to buy any of this original art, Gavin, is it going to be up for sale?
It is. My art rep, Josh Raybuck at modernmythologycomicart.com. We're going to be putting it out, I think, day of release. So, which is December 31st.
I'm going to crack my knuckles and get ready.
Yeah.
Like a Mondo drop. I'm ready.
I'm going to set one aside for you. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna say not this one. So don't worry about it. So sorry, the coolest splash of the book will not be up for grabs. Sorry, gang. But it's gonna be Joey's. But yeah, that's gonna be on Modern Mythology Comic Art. I'll make a big deal out of it on Instagram and Blue Sky, and I kind of still have Twitter. I mostly just have it. I don't barely post on it anymore. Facebook, whatever. The internet's gonna know. So you can follow me at Gavin P. Smith. Anywhere and everywhere.
Alrighty, guys. Countdown again. Thanks for joining us. Go like and follow. Share this for your Power Ranger friends, because you're going to want to hear this story. Of course, we cover everything in the industry, from everything from independent to local, and artist is my favorite thing. And I wish I could draw, but I can't. But that's why I sit down and talk to these gentlemen. Y'all take it easy. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.